On today's episode of Locked On 76ers, they dropped their regular season home finale to the Miami Heat by 28, leaving the door open for a possible matchup in the first round. Some things have to go Miami's way, but the Sixers could have handled their business and closed things out. We'll tell you what it all means right here, Locked On 76ers.
You are Locked On 76ers, your daily Philadelphia 76ers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Make every moment more. Don't miss the chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to FanDuel.com/locked on.
Welcome, you are Locked On 76ers. I'm Devon Givens from 97.5 The Fanatic Radio in Philadelphia, alongside my co-host and partner, Keith Pompey from the Enquirer.com here and hey, Sixers beat reporter that he is extraordinaire. What's up, Keith?
What's popping, D? What's popping?
2 games left on the season now, getting ready for the Atlanta Hawks tonight.
Yeah, it's gonna be I think the Sixers lose.
Probably. And that's okay because they're already situated at this point for where they are, locked into the number 3 seed. We'll break it all down, tell you what it all meant and why this team looked the way that they did in a 28-point blowout at home in front of the home fans for the regular season home finale. We'll get into the Atlanta Hawks a little bit later and their game tonight, kind of previewing things, who's in, who's out, who may be playing, who might not be playing for the 76ers. And we'll talk a little bit about some possible matchup situations there for the 76ers. And should we be worried about the Miami Heat? But Keith, 28-point loss to the Miami Heat on this. First, let me thank everybody for making Locked On 76ers your first listen every day. And remember, Locked On 76ers is free and available on all platforms, including YouTube, right here, Locked On 76ers. But 28-point loss at home to this Miami Heat team that still, Keith, has a lot to play for, 43-37 now, a game back of the Brooklyn Nets. Had the Sixers defeated the Miami Heat, Miami would have been 2 games back with 2 games to play for both Brooklyn and Miami. Both teams playing on Friday, including the 76ers playing on Friday. But the Miami Heat are still in it. They had something to play for on Friday night, on Thursday night, where the Sixers didn't, except for playing in front of their home crowd, trying to play better as a team after that Tuesday night win over Boston, a 2-point win, but it wasn't a great performance as a team, despite the 52-point performance from Joel Embiid. So a little disappointing in that sense, but Keith, they just didn't have it. And I think that from my perspective, and even listening to Doc Rivers postgame, they weren't really into it. And as we talked about it at halftime at the arena, they were kind of checked out in this game, knowing that they already had the 3rd seed locked in.
Yeah, they were kind of checked
and a
out.
little emotionally spent from Tuesday.
Yeah, a little bit. I didn't like what I saw though, D, and the reason why I didn't like what I saw, and I get it, I understand it, but the thing about this is now I expect them to play Brooklyn. I do, because I don't think the Sixers are going to try to win the next 2 games. I mean, at all. I mean, I don't expect Joel Embiid won't even play in the next game. Sources tell me. So, but here's the deal. So, the thing is, you feel like they want to play the Brooklyn Nets. Doc isn't going to come out and say it, but they don't want that Miami Heat smoke, if you want to be real. Like, they really don't want to face the Heat. So, to me, this is an opportunity to say, you know what? Let's just handle our business tonight. And I get it. We can say they have nothing to play for. We get that, but you do have something to play for. You don't want to face this.
You control your own destiny.
You control your own destiny. Now, the thing is, great teams, championship teams, know when to put people away. And I get that Doc took his guys out in the 4th quarter and all that, but I felt like that when you got to step up and do what you're supposed to do, you got to do it. They just didn't do it. I mean, they were getting out hustled, rebounds. There were a couple of times, there was one possession in the second half in the third quarter where you saw the Heat get 3 offensive rebounds in one possession.
And then
3
Max
in
Strus
one
hit the
possession.
three-pointer.
Then he hit the 3. Yeah, you saw it,
with
right?
with about 1 second left on the shot clock, fading out of bounds
You know what I'm saying? So like you
for
see all
3.
this stuff. So those are the things I'm talking about. And it's like, yo, you can't do that. And then like the Sixers shot the ball well. I mean, they shot the ball extremely well.
50%, 51%.
I mean, in the third quarter, I think they were over 60% shooting. But guess what? They were giving up threes like they were giving up layups in the layup line.
Yeah.
So it's kind of sort of like
it was really the second
like,
quarter. I know they were down 10, 41, 31 after 1, but it was really the second quarter where Miami had 5 made threes. The Sixers had 0. Miami did not turn the ball over. The Sixers did. They only scored 15 points in that second quarter, and that's what really changed the complexion of the game. It was already 10 points, but, that's doable in the NBA. 10 points you can turn around just like that. But you can also add on 8 the other side where you're already leading 10 to really blow it open the way that they did going into the half, Keith, with 63 points on the board to the Sixers 46. And you see how it goes right away from there. And while the Sixers did play well in the third quarter, scoring 32 points, we saw it together. And it was like, yeah, they just don't have it. They just don't have it. And you're right. They were playing for something, and they just like we all want to get to the playoffs, they do too. Sending the message, not the right message. But I'm not sitting here really making up something for them. They don't need that. They played the game, and it wasn't a good performance. But you would have liked to have seen a better performance here at home, fan appreciation night, knowing that you can really lock in or make it difficult for Miami to win that spot in the 6th round, and they didn't. Joel Embiid played more than I thought he would have. James Harden the same. I expected some of the others to play the minutes that they did. No Tyrese Maxey, but you're right. They could have played a much better game last night.
Yeah, I mean, they could have. I mean, I just didn't like what I saw. I mean, again, I get it. You can say what you want, but I feel like, there's certain times where guys got to step up, and they just didn't. I mean, you look at it. I know you got DeAnthony Melton 1 for 5, right?
Yep.
You got James Harden. I mean, James Harden was 5 for 12, and he was a -14.
Yeah, he's been struggling.
Yeah, been struggling. I mean, Tobias came to play, and I know Jalen McDaniels came to play. Shake Milton had a quality game, but for the most part, I mean, even on the defense, we're talking about these guys came to play, but you got Jalen McDaniels a -22, Shake Milton -22, George Niang a -20. I mean, it's like this is we're talking about a team, and I get the whole Miami Heat, but we're talking about a team that's probably going to be in a play-in game. So it's just one of those things. I know I get it, the matchups and all that, but I just felt like we should have showed better energy.
Well, listen, man. A lot of times we agree, a lot of times we disagree. On this one, we agree that I would have liked to have seen a much better performance, especially coming off of what they had and on Tuesday, and now going into the playoffs, knowing that you're going to get some rest from some of these other players in these final 2. I would have liked to have seen a better performance also, but I'm not as far as you are surprised.
Nah.
And being concerned about what just took place. If I see it in the playoffs, if it's Miami or if it's Brooklyn, if I see it in the playoffs, then I'll have my issues.
Yeah.
That's just me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, listen, we come back. We'll talk a little bit more about this one because it doesn't look like Joel Embiid is going to play. So let's kind of talk about who might play and how you think this is going to play out. This is our last podcast before the next week when we can break things down. So while you had the poll last week of who the fans want to see the Sixers play, I want to ask you who you think they will play based on these final 2 games for both Miami, who's 1 game back of Brooklyn, and the Brooklyn Nets, who also have 2 games. Both teams play Orlando. Sixers play the Nets on Sunday. Get your thoughts on who the Sixers will, in fact, face in the first round matchup starting on the weekend of the 15th. We'll get into the next right here, Locked On 76ers.
Right now, let's talk about FanDuel, right? FanDuel is, to me, I think, I don't know if you agree or not, but FanDuel is arguably the best thing, right? And what I mean by that is it's the best thing as far as if you want to gamble, you want to do whatever you want, because the NBA playoffs are almost here, and now it's the perfect time to download FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, because new customers get a no sweat first bet up to $1,000. There's bonus bets back if your first bet doesn't win. Just download the FanDuel Sportsbook app. It's safe, secure, and super easy to use. Then you could bet on anything from the money lines to point scorers to threes drained. Plus, FanDuel even lets you combine your bets for a chance as a bigger payout with the same game parlay. So don't miss a chance to get your no sweat first bet up to $1,000 in bonus bets when you go to fanduel.com/locked on. That's fanduel.com/locked on to learn more. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA.
Thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Now podcast for nightly recaps of every NBA game with analysis from our local experts. It's free and available wherever you get your podcasts. All right, Keith, Sixers and Hawks tonight. We'll get to the keys to the game in the next segment. But first, the Miami Heat have the Orlando Magic. And first they have the Washington Wizards and then the Orlando Magic. One at home, one on the road. The Brooklyn Nets have Orlando on Friday night and the Sixers on Sunday. So I'll ask you, number one, who do you think they will play? I think you've already alluded to it a little bit, who you still think they'll play. But then I'll also ask you tonight for the Sixers, who do you feel will be in and who do you feel will be out outside of the Joel Embiid part?
All right. So I'm gonna go with who I think they're gonna play. Mm-hmm. They're gonna play the Brooklyn Nets because basically we're gonna see if he doesn't play tomorrow. If they don't make the trip tomorrow, Mac McClung and Jaden Springer and the other guys down there. Right?
Lewis King, second two-way guy.
Yeah, Lewis King. If they don't make that trip in time and get there in time for the game, they're definitely going to be there and play quality minutes on Sunday. I mean, Doc went to a point and was like, yeah, we're rooting for them to win the championship because basically they want them to play.
That's a lot of minutes. Well, first of all, that's a lot of range of emotions. Let them celebrate before they have to play on Friday. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, here's the thing. You can look at it both ways. It's like, they all want to play in quality NBA minutes. So, yeah, I mean, they probably won't play. I mean, who knows what they'll do. But from what I was told that Doc Rivers told some of the players, the veteran guys, hey, y'all don't have to make this trip if y'all don't want to, a couple of them, right? That Joel's not making the trip. At least he wasn't scheduled to hop on the plane and make the trip. He's not playing. Right? Multiple sources said that. Other guys probably won't play, but it was like up in the air, right? So it's no way in heck that the 76ers are going to win both of these games, or they're probably not going to beat they're not going to beat they're not going to beat Brooklyn. I mean, I'm here to tell you they're not going to beat Brooklyn.
And Brooklyn might have to play for something. We don't know yet. But Brooklyn.
Yeah, I mean, if put it this way, if Brooklyn's playing for something, they ain't beating Brooklyn. Put it that way. Like, I mean, they already know that's who they want to play, and like they're not going to show anything. They're not going to do anything. And the one thing that really made it stand out, the one thing that made it stand out when Doc says, I was talking to other coaches and I was going back and forth about if I should play my guys or not. Every time Joel fell down, I was getting nervous and stuff like that. He ain't playing, y'all. Right now, here's something else. I do think that the team that they're going to play, like I said, is going to be Brooklyn because of that. And in regards to benching, playing, I alluded to, like, not alluded, I said it. Joel's not going to play. I wouldn't be shocked if PJ doesn't play, right? I wouldn't be shocked if James doesn't play, right? And maybe Tobias. I mean, so I don't know about Maxey. Like, I don't know that one. I know he didn't play tonight, and they saying his neck was stiff. I never heard of a guy missing a game because of a stiff neck. Never heard of that.
That's a real thing, man.
Yeah, it's a real thing.
That's a real thing. Trying to play with a neck that's stiff and you feel like that's tough to do. So yeah,
I never heard of it.
Think about the picks that might be set on him, and he doesn't sit bang, and then he takes that. So yeah, I've seen that before.
Okay, okay. But they also have they, what I mean? It's the NBA, dude. They got all these doctors and all this other stuff. They got my man KJ who's in charge, getting the
He's
brothers.
the best.
He's the best. And okay. I just feel like I just feel like we're gonna see on the injury report the next 2 days, next 2 games.
Long list.
There's gonna be a lot of stiffness, a lot of tightness, a lot of soreness.
Well, look, Joel Embiid already has the sore calf, so that's one. James Harden, the left foot soreness and the Achilles, so that's 2. PJ Tucker, he had, what did he miss the game for? Was it a shoulder? No, it wasn't a shoulder because he would have worn the compression T-shirt that he wear. I thought there was something that he missed it for. So I would say those 3 won't play. PJ Tucker be out. Embiid will be out. As you said, he's not traveling. James Harden will be out. And then I think Tobias will play just a little bit and then just shut it down after that and won't play on Sunday. So I think that's how it will go. Maxey up in the air, as you pointed out. He looked fine. He was sitting on the bench. But maybe he had the night off tonight. He'll play tomorrow in Atlanta a little bit and wrap it up for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, I got you.
And I also think they'll play Brooklyn. And look, Washington is hosting the Miami Heat on Friday night in Washington. So while Washington has been playing hard, Johnny Davis, their first-round pick, who didn't do much this season, he's been starting, putting up 20 points in the game. So they're trying to get those young guys some run. They're not going to beat the Miami Heat, I don't think. The tough challenge they will have will be Orlando on Sunday. But it's up to now the Brooklyn Nets to defeat Orlando on Friday and then beat the Sixers on Sunday and have it all wrapped up for the first-round matchup. So I agree with you. I think it will be Brooklyn in the end. I don't know the tiebreaker situation between those two, but
Brooklyn holds it.
Yeah, okay, so I think Brooklyn will be the team as well. So I'm with you, man. I'm with you. We agree on that one. All right, when we come back, we'll give our keys to the game, which I think both of us will say, don't get hurt. And we'll lay it all out, the key matchups for the game against the Atlanta Hawks. That will be tonight for the Sixers, game 2 of their back-to-back after falling to the Heat by 28 on Thursday. Atlanta tonight. We'll get into it next right here. Locked on 76ers. And I got to tell you about Nissan's most electric player of the week, folks. And I think we know who it is, even after just that one performance and what he was able to do. 52 points. You try to spread the awards around. I think the last time we did this, I gave it to DeAnthony Melton because of how well he was playing well. This time, Nissan, most electric player of the week, is brought to you by the all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Aria. And the player that I'm choosing this week will be one Joel Embiid. Guy was tremendous on Tuesday, dropping 52 points, 20 for 25 from the floor, 13 boards, 5 assists, 2 block shots, and a 2-point win. He outscored his own team, his teammates, 52-51, and they needed every point in that game. So I'm giving it to Joel Embiid. Surprise, surprise. He had 28 in the loss on Sunday, 21 in the game against the Miami Heat on Thursday. The guy's been tremendous. He may have even locked in the MVP award, and that's how good he has been. And that's why I feel he is deserving of the player of the week, the Nissan Aria player of the week. He's brilliantly fierce. We know how elegant he is with his footwork and his ability to shoot the jumper the way that he is, the power, stunningly and elegantly powerful with how he is able to finish on the perimeter and in the paint. Defensively, the things that he does, he delivers on duality, the combination of fierceness and elegance. Beautiful, but strong. The perfect SUV crossover, Joel Embiid, like the Nissan Aria. The 2023 Nissan Aria packs pin you to your seat power and premium intelligence all in one EV. The all-new, all-electric 2023 Nissan Aria, the EV for the people who love to drive like Embiid does to the basket. Shop now at nissanusa.com. All right, welcome back. Sixers, Hawks. Tonight, the Hawks and the Miami Heat, Keith, just battling it out for 7-8. That's the other part, just in case the Miami Heat are, in fact, going to be in that play-in. They want to stay where they can host that game instead of traveling to Atlanta and avoid having to play in the second part of the play-in. So right now, 43-37, the Miami Heat are 2 games better than the Atlanta Hawks. They want to keep it that way, where they have a 2-game lead over them in the standings, and the Sixers may be able to help them tonight or not. But that being said, the Heat have something to play for, being able to, at least if they're not playing the Sixers right away, that they have that play-in game against the Atlanta Hawks. They want to make sure that they keep it at 7. Mm-hmm. For the Hawks, 41-39, 6-4 in their last 10, Keith. What are you looking for tonight? We both agree. Health. What else are you looking for?
Yeah, I mean, I think health. I also think that, we may see a guy like Jalen McDaniels seeing a lot of action, getting him in certain situations, just so he could kind of sort of get up to speed. You know what I mean? More like coaching him up a little bit. It's kind of like it's going to be like his 3rd preseason game if this was like the NFL. You know what I mean? The one next to the last one. So I think we'll see a lot of that. But for the most part, I think that it's going to be a fun game for guys. They're going to sit back and relax. And a lot of guys who wouldn't normally get a lot of minutes are going to get them. I mean, I honestly think that's what's going to happen. It's going to be one of those type of games. But I think, like you said before, it's going to be keeping guys healthy. And secondly, a guy like Jalen McDaniels who can help them, or they're going to look upon him to help them in the postseason. I think they're just going to put him through some actions. They're going to do a lot of things with him just to get him acclimated to, more comfortable with some of the things they're trying to run.
Good one. And I'm looking the other way, where I am looking at someone like Shake Milton. He's deeper on the bench, and he's out of the rotation right now. But you never know when Doc Rivers may have to call his number in a game. It may not be all 5 games, all 6, all 7, all 4 in the first round series. But you never know when Shake Milton might have to have his number called for whatever reason. So I'm kind of seeing if we can get back to the Shake Milton that we've seen, Keith, in the past when he's had to start. 17, 18 points, maybe even 20, some as high as 20, 28, close to 30 points, where he was phenomenal, where he was getting consistent minutes, for Doc Rivers' team. So he's the guy I'm actually keeping an eye on. He's going to have a good matchup against, if he's playing Trae Young, he's going to have a good matchup against DeJounte Murray and what those 2 players bring to the table. So I am very curious, Keith, to see if that means anything going into this one, in the event that Doc Rivers is going to have to call his number at some point in the first round. I don't know about the second, even if they get to the 3rd. In the first round specifically, as we focus on that one to start, Shake Milton is one that I have my eye on. And then all 3 big men, whoever plays, because if they're going to get minutes, and if it's not going to be P.J. Tucker playing those backup 5 minutes, I'm very, very curious just to see them get some work over these next 2 games against Atlanta and Brooklyn, to see if it maybe pops a little bit for Doc Rivers, or even one of the coaches to lean on Doc and say, hey, man, Paul Reed looked good here. Maybe you have him going against Day'Ron Sharpe for the Brooklyn Nets, who has taken those backup minutes behind Nick Claxton, and you might see a spot there for him. So the backup bigs, Shake Milton, those are the players that I'm focused on for this game tonight and Sunday, since we won't be back until after we find out who the Sixers' opponent is.
Yeah, mate. Yeah. I see. I get that.
I appreciate you. Let me have that. Thank you. Well, Folks, listen, thanks all week. Of course, thanks everything for all regular season. We're excited for the playoffs as always. High stakes here for this team because we know what the playoffs mean. We talk about it all season where I kind of tell Keith to back off of them a little bit and enjoy the regular season for what it is. But this is what they play for, is to get to the postseason. We know it, you know it, they know it. And this is where the new season starts. We'll talk to you on Monday. We'll know who the opponent is, and we'll start to break down that first round matchup on Monday. We thank you for making Locked On 76ers your first listen. For your next listen, check out and listen to Locked On NBA, Locked On Experts covering the biggest stories around the NBA every Monday through Friday in less than 30 minutes. It's free and available wherever you do get your podcast. And get ready, folks, because we're going to be around the rest of the Locked On network, NBA network as well, checking in, especially I'm guessing at some point with Brooklyn too, to kind of break down the series and give our thoughts on the upcoming matchup, Brooklyn or Miami. Keith, as always, thanks, man. And you mind letting the good folks know where they can find us?
Look, man, you can find us wherever you get your podcast at, right? Wherever. And like Dee said, it's free and available. So this one is free and available. But you can check out my man D tonight on 97.5 FM, the Divine Giving Show, from 6 p.m. to midnight. 6 p.m. to midnight. Also, make sure you do it if you haven't done it yet. Follow my man D on Twitter at DivineG975. That's DivineG975 on Twitter. You can follow me on Twitter at Pompey on Sixers. And you can read my stuff in the Philadelphia Inquirer, at Inquirer.com. But make sure you listen to my man from 6 p.m. to midnight tomorrow. And then before you even do that, first thing you need to do is follow him on Twitter, DivineG975.
Make sure you go read Keith at Pompey on Sixers for his tweets, and then he'll direct you to a lot of his work on the Inquirer.com as we get ready for our playoff previews and all that we have to do. It's going to be a fun run. Hopefully it's a deep run. We'll see. It's going to be a tough first round matchup, whether it's Brooklyn or Miami for different reasons. They'll certainly give the Sixers their best shot. We'll see if the Sixers are as good as we think they are as we get things started on Monday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Keith, thanks as always, man. We'll talk to you then.
All right. See y'all. Peace.